Hello and welcome to another edition of Rarer Hot Wheels. Now today's show, the name Rarer Hot Wheels is a little bit of a misnomer, as there are no Hot Wheels cars being featured whatsoever in this particular edition. Now earlier today we went out to the car boot sales and I had a good old rummage around and came back with 27 castings. It doesn't sound like a lot, but there are some really interesting stuff in there. Lots of 60s stuff, lots of 70s stuff, and even a brand I'd never heard of, although a little tiny bit of research cleared things up on that. But yes, 27 castings of varying manufacturers, from quite a few manufacturers to be fair. We've got Majorette, we've got Dinky, we've got Corgi, we've got Matchbox, we've got Lesney, and so on and so forth. So sit back and feast your eyes on a plethora of fantastic castings. Right then, let's begin with the Matchbox stuff, and I'll go through them bit by bit, car by car, and I do believe that there's a lot of cars there I don't know an awful lot about, especially as it's Matchbox, Corgi and whatnot, in terms of dates of production and what it was actually called and things like that. So I'll babble on as I show you each of the cars, but I will pop up a dialogue box before each of the cars so you can actually see some details on it, and I shall have to look those up after I've done this video, so let's save me sort of looking and reading off things while I'm talking to you guys. So let's get started. The first one is this, and I do know what this one's called. This is called Gus's Gulper, and it ran through most of the 70s to be fair. Came out in several different guises. The original one, let's say it came with a body support. It actually does come with a body support, so there we go. A funny car, or flopper as things are called, based on a Ford Mustang. The pink on it's faded quite a lot, but the whole thing's intact, and I think a tiny bit of T-cut applied to this was taking care not to damage the stickers. I think a little bit of T-cut will restore the fuchsia colour of this quite well. But this is a nice little car, and if those of you who know the sort of things that I like, this is right up my street. Right then, on to the next one. And this is the first of a pair, which are almost the same but not. And we have here, oh, I need glasses. Well, I know it's a 57 Chevy, but we have the 57 Chevy drag car. And its guys there, another Matchbox one. This one's pink with red flames with a yellow outline, and looks like a dual quad engine setup. Let's open the flip front, and there you have a representation of a V8 sat in there. Not superbly detailed, but detailed enough. Car has an interior and a transparent glass, and this is, I do believe, late 70s into early 80s, but more will be cleared up later on. But nice little car. Most often when you find these at the boot sales, they're generally missing the flip front. The next one sort of falls into the same model, except it's like a dusty rose pinky sort of colour. Hard to describe what the colour is, but there is one subtle difference with this, other than that obvious, which is the colour, and that's this on here. It's got an induction cowl scoop, which looks basically a big hood scoop covering the dual quads of the other car, and this one's in really quite nice nick. I did come across one of these before in this colour, but again it was missing the front end. Now more details on this will be given later on. Then we come with another pairing. From the 70s we have this Monteverde High. I think it's a Monteverde High. Best I read it now. Yes, it's a Monteverde High, and it's one of the Matchbox super fast range. Oh, incidentally, the Mustang's one of the Speed Kings. But this is a nice little model featuring, get my fingers around there, it's like working in a mirror, featuring opening doors. And peculiarly, left-hand drive. Although I suppose it would be really. But yeah, a nice little car. You don't see Monteverde stuff anymore, and this hails from the mid to late 70s. Now we have a Monteverdi High in green, but this is from the later, if I do remember rightly, yeah, this is 1980s. This is from the Super GT series, where they basically cheapened down the cars and fitted different wheels to the original Superfast ones. These are sort of like 8-dot wheels, although they're in black. There you go, just see on there. But they made it a lot cheaper by not having to put an interior in it, because they put black plastic windows in there so you couldn't see it inside. So I suppose it saves a fair bit on every car by not having to include an interior. But there we go, a Super GT Monteverdi High. Now for a car that needs a little bit of work doing on it, sadly, but, well, I say not a lot of work. We have this VW Type 3 Volkswagen 1500, which was a air-cooled, rear-engined sedan. And these are actually quite cool, and to be fair, these were sort of taken on quite a lot in the 90s in the cow look thing, smoothed out and basically made into little custom cars. Now this is a particularly nice one. Sadly, as you can see there, the front suspension is somewhat bent. I will straighten that, get it back together, because the paint in this is in pretty good condition. And judging by the thin wheels on it as opposed to the thicker ones, I'm guessing this is late 60s, early 70s Superfast. Oh, it predates the Superfast. It's the Matchbox series, just Matchbox series. So this late 60s, oh it is Superfast. It says down there in tiny little letters. I don't know if you can see that, catch it in the light now. Oh, there you go, you might see it. So this is a Superfast one before they came up with the Superfast logo. What should we go for now? Let's have a look at this one here. This one's in really nice nick. The paint is pretty much intact on it. The Matchbox, and I'm guessing they're mid 70s to early 80s. And you've got all the real brands on there. You've got Kragar, Crane Cams, Champion, Centerline wheels. I have some downstairs. Valvoline oil, American racing equipment. It's a shame it's not got ARE wheels on it. But you have the upturn oil pan as a hood scoop. Probably wasn't an upturned oil pan, but a lot of people did use it that way. And it is a Dodge Challenger. Rather nice as well. So let's have a look at some of there. Let's go to the other end of the size spectrum now. Even though in scale it's completely wrong, we have this. A Mini. Yes, and a real Mini. You can tell it's an old Mini because it's got little tail lights and an exhaust in the middle, which makes it a Cooper. So let's have a look underneath. This is a 1970 design date. It's one of the Superfast ones, and it is just according to this, it's just a racing Mini, but I would say it's a Cooper anyway. And that's quite a nice little machine, that. I've not seen one of these before. Or possibly I have when I was a kid. It's even got the representation of the old sliding rear windows on it, sliding side windows. So let's continue with the Matchbox theme. Let's have a look at this, which is a Saab Sonnet 3 concept car, obviously brought out by Saab, the Swedish auto manufacturer. It has an opening trunk, and it's like whoever last drove it forgot to put the lid on a tin of paint. It's got all over the inside, but that's cleanable ultimately. That's a nice looking machine, and it's got the thicker Superfast wheels on it, and it's got a date of 1973 on it, so this is obviously made for probably another 8 years like this. And I think eventually it became a Super GT, and they got rid of the opening hatch and took the interior out. So there you have it. 2 more Matchboxes to go. Let's go for this, because this is a really cool machine. Now this is called Fantastic, I do believe. Yeah, Fantastic. They're the Superfast range, and if you look at the front of it, if I can get to see, it is indeed, oops, a Ford Mustang. You can tell by the rear lights, to be fair. Yeah, it is indeed a Ford Mustang, been made into a van with a insanely oversized engine sticking out of the hood. But that is quite a cool machine. There is some evidence on the side that there was possibly some stickers on the side of it, which have now gone. But ultimately, overall, considering this has probably been sat in somebody's toy box for the last 50 years, what's the date of it? 75, so this is mid 70s into probably early 80s. It's in remarkably good nick. I do like that. And the last of the Matchbox ones, we have this. This is one of the Super GTs, and I can't remember which model it is because I have actually got this in its original Matchbox Superfast guise, which was like a candy apple red with thin version of the wheels. This has got the 8-dot wheels on it, which were typical of the 80s. Still a nice casting, just a shame, oops, still a shame there's no interior in it. But these ran from the early 80s to around about 1990. But I say all the facts will be cleared up completely when I look up everything that I've been showing you. Right, that was the last of the Matchboxes. So, just give me 2 seconds and I'll get all the next batch in, which are Lesneys. Not too many of them though. Right, back again. The next 3 are all from Lesney, and one fact that I do know is all of these were made before I was born, so these are all pre-66, which makes them well old. Actually, no, I'm pretty young, but it makes the models really old. I think you're looking the possibility of, well, the rings, I think all of these were made between 1960 and 1966, and they're actually rather cool. 2 of them caught my eyes because of the design and how they look, because they've got a really 50s theme of what futuristic was, and although now what they thought we'd be driving in the 50s is nothing like it, and in fact if they saw what we were driving nowadays they'd be disgusted with us. But these are all really, really unusual. There's a couple of them a bit Art Deco, and one that just completely appealed to me, so here we go. We have this, a BP, as in the fuel company, auto tanker. 4-axle rigid gas tanker, somewhat futuristic looking, really cool, really nice. Could do with a bit of a clean up. Sadly the grill's missing from the front, but I might be able to get a repop. But for the most part, I would say that I thought these were stickers on these, but the actual side emblem seems to be painted on these, which is a little bit different from the day. It's actually got tampos on it as opposed to paper stickers, and they've survived. Pretty cool, eh? That is nice. That really is nice. Right, the next one is a Leyland, what's it called? It's a Leyland Royal Tiger coach, and I do believe this was designed by somebody like Pininfarina or somebody like that. That will be cleared up in the information, but again, this is you got like the rear lights. It looks like a Vauxhall Velox on the rear, or old Vauxhall Victor style fins on a coach. Get that? But what a nice design! What a really nice design. It looks a little bit unhappy with its toothy grill on there and a moustache on the front on its face, but this needs a little bit of a clean up because the original paint is in good nick, and sadly somebody painted on the roof in blue. And on the sides it shows up more in the camera than it does in my eyes. But again, this is a nice little vehicle, worthy of adding to my collection. And finally, for the Lesneys, we have this. And I actually remember these as a kid, and although the cars were made before I was born, there were quite a few of these doing about, and they got us very similar to the Dodge A100 vans and the Econolines of the 60s. And this was here, a little comber. It's a very, very small thing. Hang on, let's see if we can get there. It's got all the milk bottles in the back, and it's got skirted wheels all the way around, just like the A100 used to have. I think there was a Chevy like it as well. And that is a really nice little thing, and it's drink more milk, it says. Well, that's really nice, and they were nice, and they had a 1.5 litre B series engine in them, I think, the original ones back in the day. And I say these 3 models ceased production before I was born in 1966, so that's not bad going, eh? Right then, let's go on to the next batch, which is Corgi. Right then, on with the Corgis, and we got a selection of scales here, well, 2 scales anyway. And let's start with the one I know is, or one I believe is the oldest, and that'll be this. A Corgi Whiz Wheels E-Type Jaguar. Yes, look at that. Very nice little car. Yeah, the Whiz Wheels below on the bottom. which was upside down incidentally, but you open that and got the engine in there and proper whiz wheels, and those style wheels started out on the rockets, would you believe? And when rockets became too expensive to make, they took off the removable chassis and put them on the whiz wheels cars, which were sort of cheaper rockets. But this thing is made entirely of metal and it's really heavy. Right, now we've got another car here which has actually got whiz wheels on it, but it comes sometime after the whiz wheels era. We know that the XJS as a real car came out sometime in the 70s, 74, 75, something like that. But looking at the base of this, I would say this puts this in the 80s. Strangely, I don't recall any of the British police forces having a police XJS Interceptor. There are plenty of Jags. But I don't recall the XJS. They probably have one somewhere, probably down in Kent or somewhere. But this one even sports the old livery, as we used to call it, a jam sandwich, because you've got the layers of white bread up and top and bottom with a layer of jam, red jam through the middle of it. Jam sandwich. Corgi XJS. Right then, we got a car here which I know was a superfast, not a superfast, a whiz wheels, and I think there was even a Corgi Rockets version of this, and I believe I've got the pair of them somewhere in a bag or a box in amongst the about 10,000 loose die-casts that I've got knocking around the place. And that's this one here, the Marcos XP1. No, Marcos XP. Again, Marcos were, I suppose, famed for the Marcos Mantis, Marcos Manchula and Marcos Mini back in the 60s and 70s, and this one came out as a concept for them in the 70s. It reminds me of a kit car called an Eagle SS, which was made in this country, which had a VW Beetle engine in the back of it, but it looked very much like this, and I wonder if it was based on this, to be fair. But I think this is again an early 70s incarnation of it, or the original were early 70s, 60s even. But this one, looking at the wheels on it, puts it firmly in the 80s, even though it's still got the whiz wheels on it, so it may well be 70s. I don't know a lot about Corgi or Matchbox, to be honest. I'm spouting complete and utter rubbish probably, but keep an eye on the information boxes that I'll be popping up on here. The next one is a car I kind of recognise, although not in this guise. We have this here, this Buick Regal police car. Yeah, and it says there, City of Metropolis Police. Now this is, I would put this in as a 70s car again, being this is about a 74 Regal. But it's got the light on one side of the roof, and I seem to remember seeing this in a copper colour as the Kojak car. I've no idea why I remember that. I seem to think that this was a Kojak car as well. Maybe they use the same casting and bits and pieces, but again, not a bad casting. It's a shame about the chrome interior. Yeah, another car that hails from the 70s, but I do believe, looking at the base, this makes this an 80s or even possibly a 90s car. It's a Porsche 911 Carrera. Not convertible, but nevertheless reasonably good nick for a find. And the last of the Corgis, but not. We have this, the Porsche 917 Longtail. Now Hot Wheels have brought one of these out recently. In fact, I've probably got one in this bag by the side of me, but obviously this is a bigger scale, 1/32 scale perhaps. It might even say underneath. Then again, it might not. But yes, got the opening back end with the engine. One of the louvers is broken on the top, but I'm not too much worried about that. And I'm guessing, as this was a late 60s racer, that this is possibly late 60s or early 70s as a casting. But nonetheless, it is very nice. I've just realised it seems to have extra exhaust. I didn't know that. So we've got a 12-cylinder Porsche engine. Is that 12 cylinders? No, I would say 12 cylinders. With exhaust there, another pair, just there. So there we have it. Right, now I say the last of the Corgis, but not quite. There's also this, which came in as well. Now this caused me a bit of confusion. I had no idea what it was, and it's by a company called Qualitoys. And it wasn't until I adjusted my poorly eyesight that it says Qualitoys by Corgi, and it's called a turbine truck. Now there was a whole series of these apparently. I'm not entirely sure when, but looking at that I would say probably again late 60s, early 70s. It's not in bad nick, not in brilliant nick, but shouldn't come out too badly if I try and do anything with it. But yeah, it's a bit of a different one. It just caught my eye. I like that. I do like stuff from the 60s and 70s and the 50s that were designed how they think we would be driving things these days. That is rather cool. And if it's a turbine truck and that's a turbine exhaust on top, I wouldn't like to drive it because it's exhausted inside the cab. Right, on with the next batch in a sec. So, the next three are Dinkies, but they're not really Dinkies, but they are. I guess in the late 80s, early 90s, Matchbox International bought up the rights to Dinky, shortly before Matchbox was bought up by Mattel, and Mattel pinched some of their castings. But that aside, we have these. Now, these are Dinky. It says so there. But if you look up there, go ahead and catch it in light, there we go. It says Matchbox, and when you read the bottom of the thing, it says is the Dinky collection by Matchbox. So it's not really Dinky, but it's dinky enough to have Dinky on it, so it's got to be a Dinky. Well, yeah, it's not a bad machine though. So we have here a Commer, 1948 Commer, 800 weight van. And I initially picked these up because I thought, ooh, I've got some nice aftermarket slot mags, and I can do some customs with these. But now I've been looking at them, I actually think, oh, we'll leave them as they are because they're in the original packaging and they don't deserve to be cut up. Next one from that is another 1948 Commer, 800 weight van. A different livery on it. Excuse the price tag in between. There we go. So do that, you can see it. Again, this is Dinky by Matchbox. These hail from around about 1990, I do believe. So at least looking at the blurb underneath, and these appear to have been £5.47 at some point, and £4.75 at another point. No idea where these were sold. I've not seen these type before, but at the price they were worth having. And the final one of the Dinkies is this. A Ford E83W 1000 weight van, next size up. But again, this is quite a nice machine, that. Again, these hail from around about 1990, so neck end of 30 years old. And I'm glad to have them in the original packaging. I just need to try and get these sticker residue off without damaging that. So I think if I use anything, any form of solvent, the plastic will melt. But we will see. So the last few coming up now are only one of each brand, and pretty much well-known brands. And one of them is a car I've been looking at for a while, and I'd also say it's my find of the day, and I'll leave that one till last. So here we go, let's have a look. Excuse the back of my head. First one is a Majorette Pontiac Firebird, and I would say it's got the engine out of an ocean liner in it. It's huge, absolutely huge, but this is really cool. Now, I have no idea when that was made, but that will be flashed up in some information as you're watching this very video. Not when I'm doing this, but this is number 248, so it's a 200 series car, but it says number 1. Make it so, number 1. But the old Firebird, yeah, I quite like that. Like a nice car, and it's a Knight Rider era Firebird. Pretty cool. Next one is from a company called Zylmex. No, it's not at all. I lie. This is a Yatming Mercedes-Benz. And what is it? Mercedes 230? No, Mercedes 450 SEL. And this one's in remarkably good condition. And it does actually look like the door should open, but shouldn't, but they don't open. But this is a nice little car, and I'm guessing a date on this would be probably mid-70s. I'll see if I can find anything out. Some of the Yatming stuff is hard to find information about on, but it seems to have almost pinched the style of the Matchbox cars of the era in their thin guys. And finally, my pickup of the day is this. This is a Zylmex, and this is the Red Baron, although it's green. It needs a little bit of TLC around there because the front axle keeps coming out, but I'm sure I can fix that. But look at that, with this American Racing Equipment wheels on it, and I think it was Tom Daniels designed these originally, but unlike the real car, which had big and little wheels on, this one has got big and little wheels on it, huge cartoon style ones, which is actually really quite neat. And also the Red Baron, the real one, actually had a German helmet rather than a hood, so essentially this is more of a tea bucket, but by golly, isn't it nice? It really is. And I've been after one of these for a while. I knew they were out there, but they just don't seem to turn up very often. Let's get my fingers out of the way so you can see it. There. Look at that. That is pretty awesome. It's even got the T-grill. I like that. So, well, that was my finds today. 27 castings. I did take the camera with me. Unfortunately, I couldn't find my body harness, so unfortunately I didn't manage to film it that way. But at some point I will actually manage to get everything together, and it won't be raining. This is the first boot sale we've been to in months, because every time Sunday mornings come around it's been pouring with rain. And so yesterday I washed the car. We arrived at the car boot sale. The car park was a bit of a quagmire, so I went in there and the car's covered in mud again, so really I needn't have cleaned it. Anyway folks, thanks for watching. Check back soon to have a look at some of my finds and some of my collection. So if you don't see me before New Year, Happy New Year, and check back soon. Sadly I'm back to work tomorrow, so yes, toodle pip, take care.